morning. Happy New Year to everybody. Welcome to today's community briefing. My name is Gregory Sneed, and this is our very first show of the year 2024. So those of you who are returning guests, thank you. I know some of you might have had to re-register. Zoom changed some things along, and we're in the new year. So may have taken you a few extra steps to get here today, but we are encouraged that you will continue to join us for the rest of the year. My name is Gregory Sneed, and my company is Lifesaver Financial Services. I help my clients keep more of the money that they make. And that is something that's important to everybody. So without further delay, I'm going to bring to the virtual stage the Queen.
For New Year's.
The Queen.
The New Year.
Right. The Queen of our community briefing, Miss Crystal Mitchell.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the community briefing. Happy New Year to everyone. My motto this year is going to be excellence, voting, and supporting and collaboration. I think it's very, very important this year because it's going to be a very interesting year. How about that? And a bit challenging. So I am Crystal Mitchell. I'm the co-director of Recycling Black Dollars and the inspiration behind the community briefing. We want to welcome you to the platform. This is our platform. This is our place where we meet our leaders and our stakeholders, and we find out what's going on in our community, and we are supporting one another, uplifting each other, and inspiring each other. This platform is powered by Recycling Black Dollars and the BBA, the Black Business Association. Hello, Sarah. Good morning. And also, we are financially supported by Southern California Edison, SoCal Gas, PCR, and Wells Fargo Bank. We are looking for new sponsors. Edison will be back on. The SoCal Gas will be back on, but we need new sponsors, guys. So for 2024, congratulations, Michelle Bell. She is formally retired now, officially retired from the hair industry of many, many years. I went to her 70th birthday over the holidays. Absolutely fantastic. So welcome to the community briefing, and we are happy to have you all. And I'm going to turn it back over to Greg. Steven, you're going to introduce yourself later, I assume. All righty. So back to you, Greg. And thank you guys for joining us.
On behalf of our other co-host, Robin Phillips, she joins us periodically when her health and doctor schedules allow her, but we wish her continued blessings, continuing health recovery, and of course, a very happy new year. Well, today we're going to start the year off with a wonderful gentleman here who has been in the hospitality arena for a number of years, Mr. Michael E. Washington. He is the CEO of Cato Hospitality Group, president and founder of Palazzo Concessions. He's a board member and former hotel general manager. Michael E. Washington is a civic-minded, award-winning, you can see the award sitting in the back there, hospitality executive with diverse industry experience in hotels, airport concessions, small business consulting, branding strategist, food and beverage, a philanthropist, and he's also proficient in the areas of executive management, operations, customer service, hotel accounting, purchasing, housekeeping. That's supervising housekeeping. He's not going in there and cleaning rooms, okay? Food and beverage services, sales, and marketing. So he co-founded Palazzo Concessions back in 2009, and it manages passive joint venture agreements with several national prime concession entities, including the Hudson Group, Magic Johnson Enterprises, Host International. I mean, these are some big names, and also partners in more than 40 retail stores at the Los Angeles Airport domestic and international terminals. I could go on and on and on about a lot of stuff that he has done, but he has been at Palazzo Concessions. He was at the Le Meridien, a general manager in San Francisco, Sheraton Gateway here at the Los Angeles near the airport, the St. Regis in San Francisco, the Westin Hotel, the Biltmore, and he is a graduate of Pepperdine University, has a master's degree in business administration, MBA, UCLA Extension, Columbus State Community College, and a graduate of the Ohio State University. He hails from Ohio. I don't know where in Ohio, so he'll share that with us. Could be Cleveland, could be Columbus. So he'll join us and tell us that in a moment. But please now welcome to the virtual stage, Mr. Michael E. Washington.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Coach Sneed. I really appreciate that. Kind introduction. Very generous of you. And this opportunity, thanks for asking me to be involved. I know Mr. Turner was also requesting my level of involvement. I'm excited to be here. And I really applaud you guys for what you've established here and really keeping our community informed. I was able to go on YouTube and go back and listen to some of the past and saw a lot of members there. And there's a few members that are even on this call now, good friends, such as Sarah Harris has always been super supportive. I appreciate you and congratulations on your ascension and leading the BBA. And Miss Moore, Colette Moore, West Angeles. We actually served together on the West Angeles Family Life Center construction project that's taking place. And then I also see Miss Bell is another West Angeles member. So I appreciate this opportunity to be here. I'm not much of a speaker, very seldom. I am more of a backgrounds type of guy. So please forgive me if I'm not that. My deliverables is not as well as some of our orators that exist in our community, but I'll do whatever I can. So who am I? Again, as Greg mentioned, I am Michael Washington. I hail from the great city of Columbus, Ohio, which happens to be the largest city in Ohio. Most people don't know that because we don't have an NBA or NFL team. But Columbus is a really beautiful place. As you mentioned, Ohio State as well as Columbus State, and then moved here in 1990, married the most beautiful girl in the world. Some of you know my wife, Stacia Washington, who is a powerhouse on her own. So we together, we're trying to do our best to make a difference in this world. I have two daughters, a son and grandson. I just turned 1 year old and excited about that. And as you mentioned, graduated from Pepperdine and my MBA. Just going back to my hotel experience, I did start in Columbus, Ohio at the Hyatt Regency at the Convention Center. And actually, I worked my way through high school and college. Worked at night, 11 at night to 7 in the morning, and went to school. And that's how I supported myself through college to get through, and funded my own and survived. But even now, my wife gets upset with me because I don't sleep at night. So at 2 a.m., you may see me emailing or working still, but it's just part of my DNA, just working late at night and constantly. And I don't require a lot of sleep, so just give you some idea of who I am. And then Hyatt promoted me to Los Angeles, and I had a choice between Kansas City or Los Angeles. And because I had a friend that was working here, and he said, "Mike, come out here. I need you. I need your help to help work on an operation here in Los Angeles." So I came out, fell in love with Los Angeles. Many of you, as probably know me from the Hyatt back at downtown LA when there was a Hyatt there. Worked with the BBA with Skip very closely during that time. And if you remember Jesse Gaden, Laura Ball, good to see you. It's been a long time. Worked with USC's graduation back then. But then was promoted to the Biltmore downtown LA, or took a job opportunity there. And that was a great experience. I was able to meet some of the luminaires of not just Los Angeles, but throughout the world. I mean, the Muhammad Ali's and presidents and kings and queens would stay at the Biltmore. So that was a beautiful experience. And then I was fortunate, and God blessed me to be general manager. I was at the Sheraton LAX for 8 years. I was at the Westin Long Beach, as well as the Westin Airport, and also the St. Regis Hotel in San Francisco and the Le Meridien. Other community involvements, I am also the president of the APGA Foundation. The APGA is an organization that is funded by the PGA and other corporate sponsorships. And what we're trying to do is diversify golf. And so we're trying to create, in lack of better words, more Tiger Woods to really diversify and find new opportunities for us and the golfing world, not just playing, but also leading and managing in that area. Now, the foundation, we focus on youth, and we aim to bring together, diversity in the game of golf. And we go throughout the United States from Atlanta to Philadelphia to LA. And we introduce a lot of inner city kids to the game of golf. And we talk to them, and we bring in individuals like yourself to talk about career paths and alternative paths other than some who may not necessarily be headed in the right direction. We talk about mental health, and we bring in individuals with the level of expertise to have that conversation with them. We reach out to them to let them know they can always reach out to us as leaders, just in case there's anything that they need to discuss. We have a scholarship, and we give money to a lot of the youth by them submitting an essay. So the winners of those essays end up getting a scholarship fund, and we help encourage them. And we also support a lot of other organizations such as the T Divas and T Dudes, who are really introducing the game of golf to a lot of our young people, people of color. And playing golf, and some of you may be great at it, some of you may not be, but it really expands your world. It expands your opportunity to network. I have a friend who is a member of this prestigious country club, and he mentioned to me, he's one of the few African Americans at this country club. He said he'll sit there and have lunch, and he's talking to leaders that may be hard to reach, and having coffee, tea with these individuals, to be able to reach them and talk to them just over coffee and tea. It changes his life, because anything that he's doing, they want to be part of. And so usually when we're trying to knock on their doors or going through their administrative and their team, to be able to sit one-on-one with CEOs of some of the major corporations, Fortune 100 companies throughout the world, and be able to have conversation about your goals and what you're trying to accomplish is something unique. So that's where golf really opens up those opportunities. A lot of times you develop friendship throughout. Also, let me mention, I mentioned this earlier, and was part of the West Angeles Family Life Center, worked with Colette, and a $25 million project. And probably within the month of February, March, the church will be moving in there. As you know, we sold the North Campus, which Colette and I was part of, and now we're building the Family Life Center right behind the cathedral. So we work with Bishop and Lady May for that endeavor, and we're excited that there should be a ribbon cutting coming up within the next couple of months. So I co-chair that with Pastor Charles Blake, along with Bishop Blake, in making that happen, and appreciate the opportunity. And we also reached out and wanted to make sure that our community is represented in the construction side, or the DE&I. And so I led that effort as well. Also, one of the things I'm doing is Cato Hospitality Group. I do a lot of assisting of small businesses throughout, not just LA, but throughout the United States. Individuals that are trying to get into airports, understanding how to navigate through the whole process when it comes to funding, when it comes to things as understanding the contract, and making sure people are prepared before they sign these $1 million agreements, and understanding what is their obligations. And so I've been fortunate to do that. I had clients in Texas, clients in New York, clients here in LA. I'm even assisting one of the iconic restaurants in our community and assisting them and understanding how to get to that next level, right? And one of the locations that I'm really excited about that I've been able to help, there's a restaurant bar in New York called Nears. It is the oldest bar in New York City. Most people don't know it's owned by a brother. And so I've been able to assist this brother as he's been courted and asked to be involved with the new JFK terminal at LAX. And so I flew out to New York, been able to help and assist him and go through his contracts and understand some of the pitfalls and making sure that he was clear on when he crossed his T's and dotted his I's exactly what he's committing to, and also how to obtain funding. So those are some of the things I do. And most of the times I'm doing it for free. But sometimes, for a small fee, I'm not making a huge profit off of these opportunities. I'm really committed about making a difference and helping people navigate and get through these opportunities that could be game changing and create legacy for them and their family. I'm also on the board of the Los Angeles Convention and Tourism, and I've been there for several years. And Adam Burke is the CEO of that committee. He's doing an incredible job, and he's really doing his best to diversify the organization. And one of the things that they're talking to me about now is they want to really increase their footprint, reach out to connect to our community, African American community, and communities of color in Los Angeles, and making sure that there's a level of participation. Keep this in mind. The 2026 FIFA World Cup will take place in Los Angeles. We have the Super Bowl coming back in 2027. And then in 2028, we have the Olympics and Paralympics. That's going to be a 2-month sporting events taking place in Los Angeles. It's going to be a huge game changer. So we're excited about these opportunities, but we also want to make sure our community is involved on these opportunities that may exist, and not just be involved, but let's make some money in the process, right? Now, I mentioned my hospitality background, but I've been fortunate to transition. While I was working in the hotels, most people had no idea simultaneously. I was working and develop a relationship with many of the prime concessionaires, and was asked to be involved from the airport because I had airport executives staying in my hotel. I had the prime concessionaire staying in my hotel. I had people who would do lunch or dinner, and they looked at me and said, "Mike, you're running the Sheraton, one of the largest hotels in LA. You have a Starbucks there. You have parking, you have transportation, you have restaurants. You should be in the airport space." And from that point on, they approached my wife, they approached me, and we both got involved and ended up partnering with Hudson back in 2009. And we ended up winning a package, and we won a second package, and we ended up winning 3 packages and ended up winning additional packages from that point on. So it's been a blessing being part of that group at that particular time. And with my background, they needed individuals. As you know, it is required that if the goal of an airport is 20 or 30% minority participation, then I kind of, was somewhat into that space at that time and was able to assist Hudson achieve their goal, as well as the airport achieving their goal, by making sure that they have minority participation in some of these joint venture agreements. Some of the agreements that we have, I have Starbucks, Coffee Bean, Tea Leaves are some of the brands that I have, as well as Coach, Michael Kors. We had Victoria's Secrets, and Panda Express, Harley Davidson. And then I was able to expand from LAX to other airports. I'm in Burbank. So anytime you go through Burbank Airport and you see Hudson Gift and News, then we are part owner of that particular gift and news opportunity. San Francisco, we have restaurants and we have gift and news there, as well as Portland. And we're looking to expand from that point on as well. So I've been fortunate to join forces with both HMS Host and Hudson for these opportunities. And again, we're looking to assist not just what opportunity exists for me, but other people. And therefore, I've been appointed the Western Regional Director for the Airport Minority Advisory Council. And that includes cities from, or airports from Arizona, Nevada, Hawaii, and California. And so our true purpose is the only nonprofit organization that's dedicated to advancing the full participation of women and minority and contracting opportunities throughout the airport ecosystem. So I am charged to make sure there's a level of fairness through all of the different contracting opportunities. And members will include, again, the aviation, airport executives, emerging leaders, architects, engineer, construction firms, food, retail, travel service brands, aviation professionals, concessions and revenue members, revenue team members, and project manager and change agents. So anyone that's in that space and are interested in doing business at the airport, we encourage you to join. And you can go on to amac-org.com and become a member. And even if you're a supplier and you're interested in doing business, we encourage you to do so. Keep it in mind that a lot of individuals out there are suppliers. You may make your own products and you're interested in that airport space. And I'll speak more to that a little bit later, but AMAC now has developed a supplier diversity committee to make sure there's a level of fairness throughout the United States. So if you have your own spirit, let's say you have a cognac or you have a wine or a champagne, or there's certain foods like popcorn, or maybe there's candles and things of that nature that you're interested in getting into the airport space, those opportunities are becoming more available because a lot of the different prime concessionaires now, they have a portal where you can go in and provide your information and upload about who you are and what you do and what type of items that you supply. And fortunately, they are starting to look for those opportunities to expand and give you an opportunity to start doing business with them. The beauty about HMS Host and Hudson, they're both the largest food and beverage and retailers in the airport space. Now, there's other primes such as SSP, Areas, etc. Please, I encourage you to go online if you have products or anything that you're interested in getting into the airport space. When it comes to supply and the diversity side of things, then go online and let them know you have a product that you're interested in and that you would love to be in the airports. If it's greeting cards, if it's books, I was able to assist one particular individual who had a wellness book that she wanted published. And Hudson is probably one of the largest seller of books, hard copies. As you go through the airport, and when you see a lot of the bookstores, there are individuals who publish their book and they're interested in making sure they're on the front or that their books are actually being put into the airports. Those opportunities exist as well. So from being the regional, being appointed and then subsequently voted back in, we also created a local chapter for Los Angeles. And our focus is we really need individuals to understand what is happening at the airports. We look at this huge monolith, this big organization, and for instance, LAX probably employs about 50,000 employees. Maybe only 3 or 4,000 actually work for the airport, but there are other organizations that are there that are doing what is necessary to keep the airport operating. Uh, but with that, we created a local chapter because we really want to make sure we expand our tentacles. We really want to make sure that individuals like yourself are understanding these opportunities and that we do a much better job in touching our local officials and that we represent many of the small business operators that exist now. And so I want to thank Justin Abachi, who was the former CEO, along with Amber. And I noticed Amber Mishak, she is not available this week. I believe she's on maybe out of town, but she is the one that assisted me in moving forward with developing a local chapter for Los Angeles. And this is where I met Greg. And we had our inaugural event back in November. And it was an exciting time for us. And we had quite a bit of representation there. We formed a local chapter and we have a very high performing board. Martha Venezuela of Modern Times is our president.
She's been a regular guest for us here, and in her prior experience before she joined AMAC.
I had no idea.
Martha, yes.
And so she is a superstar in her own right. We're fortunate to lead that effort. And I know they wanted me to kind of lead the effort, but I wanted other people to step up. And having Martha at the helm of this has been just incredible. She is truly a superstar, and we appreciate her and her leadership. And we have others that are on the board as well that Greg was able to meet that night. Now, speaking of LAX, by the way, please, if you want to get involved, you can go on to AMAC, amac.losangeles@gmail.com, or we have a LinkedIn page as well, and you can join the local chapter, but you will have to join the national chapter first to become local, right? And so, again, we want to make sure there's a level of fairness and we communicate and understand the opportunities of doing businesses with airports, not just LAX, but throughout the United States. I was fortunate to have conversation with Corinne Webb, who is the president of the board for LAWA, which is LAX, along with Van Nuys Airport. And one of the things that him and I talked about, we have a new CEO that's starting on February 5th, 2024. And his name is John Ackerman, who his past experience from DFW in Denver. But the focus for LAWA moving forward is making sure small business opportunities exist and that it's fair. I'm even dealing with some of the current concessionaires now that some of the ways things are priced and are challenging and operating in the airport. We're trying to minimize these concerns and make it easier to do business at the airport. So we're having these dialogues and conversation, and we're putting together a presentation for them to understand that if things don't change, that there could be an airport where you don't see many of us involved. It's getting to a point where living wage, they're trying to push it from $22 currently to $25 to $30 by 2028. Many of the individuals are operating on a thin margin, so pushing the living wage to $30 by 2028, as you know, many of us cannot survive that. Just this year, I just saw something flat. 85 restaurants just closed starting this year because they could not absorb the living wage and the high increase in operating in Los Angeles. I saw this and it happened in San Francisco when I was there as well. So we really got to make sure people understand and balance out. We understand restaurants, small businesses are the ones to be taxed to solve the homelessness. This has got to be a shared opportunity, but a lot of the taxes and a lot of things that are happening today are really impacting us as we continue to operate, and our margins aren't like they used to be, and a lot of us are operating in the red. So a lot of that has to change as we continue to move forward. But one of the things that Karim mentioned as we move forward is he wants to make sure the airport contracting looks like Los Angeles. He wants to make sure the airport looks like Los Angeles when it comes to employees and even their leadership. And so that's going to be the drive and the objective for the new John Ackerman as he steps into the new role moving forward. And we're going to work closely with the team to make sure that we do what we can from the AMAC side to make sure that those opportunities exist for us and will continue, that we can operate and operate profitably and be able to leave a legacy for our family. Discussing some of the, by the way, doing business at the airport, you can go online and the Strategic Sourcing Division or doing business with LAWA, you can go online and you can sign up for these opportunities. So please do so if you're interested. And they have a business and social responsibility division, which, as you know, Amber is in charge of. But every first Wednesday of every month, there is a webinar on how to do business with the airport. So please sign up and make sure that you're involved. And then you can also go online to look at new bidding opportunities. And I think we have to get it, when we think of the airport, let's not just think construction. Let's not just think architect. Let's not think engineering. Let's not just think concessions, but also think about a lot of things that you're doing. If you will go online, you will start to see that there's opportunities like they may need a temporary an agency that might provide temporary employment. There is EV charging. There's a brother on the East Coast that is installing EV charging set up at the airport in their parking lot. There's another young man in LA that's doing a fabulous job of putting vending machines throughout the airports. So there's other opportunities that sometimes we don't think about. High tech, wiring, construction. Some of the primes are building out some of the stores. So please expand your mind and look for those opportunities. Where do you fit in? And there may be opportunities for you, but you have to do your homework and keep on top of these opportunities and find out what are the requirements and make sure your firm fits within what they're looking for. Let's not give them an excuse not to do business with us, but let's get to a point where they have no choice but to do business with you, okay? A couple of new projects that are coming up. There's going to be a new midfield satellite concourse, which is going to add another 8 gates that are coming up soon. As we know, the APM, the Automatic People Mover, which is a $5 billion project, is taking place and hoping to open up later this year, if not Q1 2025. Terminals 4 and 5 will undergo a $1.6 billion modernization, and that should be completed by 2027. In front by La Cienega and the 405, that space there, they're going to call it, it's called the North Side Development, or the bow tie, to kind of tie in the new development with the Automatic People Mover, the rental car location. And they're expecting to create a mixed use retail, food and beverage, etc. And they're planning that to open up by 2028. And then we're going to have 2 other terminals Terminal 0 and Terminal 9 at LAX. That's going to open up. Terminal 0 will be right before you get to Terminal 1. There's an empty lot there that they usually park cabs. That would be Terminal 0. And then Terminal 9 is going to actually be across the street from Sepulveda. So they're going to, there is a Terminal 8. Most people don't know about it. There's Terminal 7 is United. Then there's Terminal 8. And then across the street will be Terminal 9. So all these opportunities are going to present itself, which means more concession, more construction, more engineering, more wiring, more on the technical field, more additional service, more cleaning services, right? That are going to present itself for us to take advantage of. And so hopefully we'll be in position for that during that particular time. Now, being the Western Regional Director, I also have to mention that San Diego is building a brand new terminal. Burbank will be building a brand new terminal. And a lot of these will, the goal is around 2028. Everyone wants to be completely done or close to it by Olympics, which is 2028. So you have a lot of these opportunities that are coming up. So please go online, register at these various airports, let them know that you're open for business, find out what are the requirements that for me to position myself to be a receivership of some of these contracts. Also, if you are making candles, if it's calendars, if it's popcorn, if it's your own champagne, if your own wine or your other spirits, etc., or other items that exist out there that could easily be sold to restaurants as well as to gift and news stores, or even if there's a book, please go online. You can register with many of the different prime concessionaires, which would be Hudson, HMS Host, SSP, Areas, Marshall Retail Group or WH Smith, et cetera, et cetera. Let them know that you're interested in doing business with them. Have these conversations and get yourself prepared because there is a lot coming up in Los Angeles. As I mentioned, World Cup. I mentioned the Super Bowl again, and the Olympics is going to be huge. We want to make sure that we're at the table and that we also are participating and making money through this as well. So that's pretty much my closing. If you have any questions,
you had an extra minute and a half, so you did great there, Michael.
Oh, okay.
Right. Couple questions. One was sort of explain maybe the levels of people that are able to participate in LAWA. You mentioned packages that you'd gotten a package. I'm not, can you explain what that is? Obviously, getting a concession or getting some, retail space within the airport is a major commitment, long lease, pretty expensive, but there's a lot of different levels and gradations there within the airport. But just sort of like maybe 3 or 4 basic groups of how they get. One of them is, I think maybe it's at the bottom, but it's just having your products through Hudson or HMS distribution, correct?
Yeah, so there's the supplier side of things, as I mentioned. So again, you don't necessarily have to be certified as a DBE or ACDBE. ACDBE is a different level. DBE, just more airport related. And there is a financial level of a minimum. A maximum as far as your net worth that in order for you to obtain an ACDBE, et cetera. And you also have to have what they call NAICS code, NAICS, that fits that profile. So if I go back to my profile, I had food and beverage experience, I had retail experience and running hotels as well as parking. So I was able to really certify in that particular space. Now, so that's the supplier side. On the joint venture agreement, Hudson and many of the prime concessionaires are looking for individuals. Let me give you an example. If I'm building a Starbucks and it costs $1 million, And if Hudson or HMS Host choose me as a partner, and I'm a 10% owner of that Starbucks, then I will have to participate in building of that Starbucks. And if I'm at 10%, then I need to pony up for $100,000 of my money of investment. Did that give you clarity there? So then you also have others, and I applaud, we have two superstars in Los Angeles who are doing great work. One is Greg, who has restaurants in Terminal 6 as well as Terminal 1. Greg Plummer, and he's doing a fabulous job, and he operates his own restaurants at the airport. The other individual is Nick Cruz, and Nick is a legacy, and he's second generation, and he has restaurants throughout the United States. And again, he's another small business operator who's doing great work. And so that's the three levels. Hopefully I address your question. You got individuals who own their own restaurants outright. Then you have individuals who are joint venture partners like myself who participate, and we operate from a 30,000 foot level where we're not involved in the day-to-day operation, but we are involved in a meaningful way and choosing our leaders and managing the P&L and managing the individuals that are managing our stores and location. And then you have the supplier opportunities that exist for individuals who want to have their product or services distributed throughout the airport. That's on the concession side. Then you can get into the AEC side. AEC is architect, engineer, and construction, and your participation, a lot of times they're reaching out to get more of us as DBEs involved in the construction side as a sub, and making sure that their percentage, if there's a goal at LAX, which I'm going to be participating in goal setting, which is about 22% now. I think it's going to be higher. We want to get closer to 30%. In order to achieve that goal, they're going to have to really extend and create more of a robust program to make sure there's participation on our part on the construction side as well. So all these billions of dollars that are being spent at the airport to develop, truly, if we were to calculate, are we really getting 30 or 20% of that? If so, then we're making our community very wealthy. Did that answer your question, Greg?
Definitely. And
Okay.
when I was at the AMAC, there was a woman that stood up because at some point in time it was alphabet soup, and there was a gazillion acronyms. So there's certain industries where they kind of make sense, but others, like I few times I got lost.
Yes.
So that's one of the things when you get into that. Colette had a question here. What distinguishes a successful business at LAX given the high complexity of operations?
Repeat the question again. I'm sorry. Let me get my mind wrapped around that.
Why, certainly. What distinguishes a successful business at LAX given the high complexity of operations?
Let me attempt to answer that with one. I can only sell so many cheeseburgers at $30. I'm not going to sell many, right? So there is a balance there where employees are demanding $30 per hour to operate. I can have 50% of my expenses truly go to payroll when I have to pay the airport almost 20% just in rent alone. So I'm already operating in a negative when it comes to that. So what's driving us now and the level of success is there is a capture audience. So there's only so many restaurants and so many retail opportunities. When you go through the airport, and even now, we're not being fed on the airplanes like we used to. So your snacks are important before you get onto the airport. Coffee first thing in the morning before, and finding a place without standing in a long line is super important. So you're pricing yourself to a point where, yes, you may end up paying $7 for a bottle of water. But the reason why is the cost of operating is super high. And to get employees, think about it, just to get the work at any typical job, you're probably going to have to add additional 30 minutes on the back end and front end, just getting into the airport, just to get to your job location. So it's really challenging and operating at the airport. It's street side is much more expensive. So the success is at any time we're operating, it's, am I operating in the black? But how do you balance that out? You got to use technology, and you have to price yourself sometime higher than what's on the street side. And I know people complain, why am I paying $7 for a bottle of water? It's mainly because the cost of operating is a lot higher, and the cost to build. Let me give you an example. To build that, let's go back to a Starbucks. It may cost $1 million to build. It may cost me $2,500 per square foot to build that Starbucks. On a street side, it may only cost me $500. So the winning formula, it's terms and being able to price to sell, but also capture enough that you're in the black. So what I mean by terms, if you're going in and your CapEx is super high and you don't think you ever make your money back because they only gave you 5 years to make your money back. Mm. If they give me 10, that may work for me on my behalf, and that would create a winning formula. So many of the contracts, even now, are starting to be reviewed and potentially extended because many of the individuals that are in the airport, particularly in the international, really didn't make their money back that they invested. Mm. So extending the terms for another couple years can help those individuals make that money back. Hopefully I answered your question on multiple levels. Extending terms is important. Adding a percentage higher on the pricing of your product is helpful. And also creating more efficiencies and incorporating more technology into your operation is helpful in that fashion. That's how you create a winning a business at the airport.
It sounds like having an existing business and then moving into the airport might be a better move than trying to start off at an airport level. Is that?
You can. Oh, thanks for bringing it up. Here's another thing to give you an example. Nearest the bar that I mentioned in New York, the oldest bar that's owned by a brother, he is licensing his brand. He's going to have a nearest restaurant and bar potentially at JFK, and he will get the airport wants to use his brand because it was used in the movie Goodfellas.
Goodfellas. That's right. Yep.
And so also Mae West grew up in that neighborhood and she got her start in that bar. So the restaurant and bar is iconic. So why not have that at your airport? So JFK wants to make sure that if anybody remember the story on Goodfellas, it was about the heist stealing millions of dollars from Lufthansa Airlines. They planned and mapped it out at that bar. So here we are, the connectivity of JFK to Nears. And so he wants to get a percentage by using his brand at the airport. Does that make sense? So let's say if I owned a restaurant that's iconic in LA, and airports are going towards a local feel to it. So if I own the brand and it's been iconic for years, I'll give you an example. I'll use Tony P's Sports Bar in Marina del Rey as an example. You kind of want that brand to be represented at the airport. So the airport may ask, hey, not the airport, but some of the concessionaires, because they want to win. They're going to win by presenting brands that people know and that represent the community. And so there's an opportunity where you can license versus operating. So to answer your question, it's great that you're able to operate street side, but you really have to understand the financials and understand that if you have a certain menu, it may not work inside the airport. So you really have to understand, if I'm going to the airport, I may have to make adjustments. But also my business model is completely different because I'm in an airport and I got to operate differently. I got to price differently. And I have to scale at a level of being super efficient. Because if I'm sitting down, I want a cheeseburger, 5 minutes is a long time. I can't wait 15 minutes. So those are the things that you have to keep in mind. I wouldn't say every business is successful. There are businesses that went street side and went into the airport and they end up losing street side because they couldn't support what was happening at the airport. So at the end of the day, I always tell individuals, have your team in place, your CPA, your attorney, right, in place before you make decisions to go into the airport space. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, one more question. Are you familiar with of course you are, the old TWA terminal at JFK?
Yes.
Anything like that on the wings of another airport or at LAX?
Not that I'm aware of. I applaud what they did at JFK. I would say go online and look what Burbank is trying to accomplish. They are really looking at incorporating the feel and energy and historic of Hollywood with their new design of their airport. So that's not actually TWA level, but it is tying in the nostalgic or the small current operation at Burbank to the point where they're not even, the new design, from my understanding, won't have jetways. You're still going to have to climb up to the airport, and they want to keep that. For whatever reason, that's what the community has voted for. And they want to make sure that outdoor experience when you're waiting on your luggage still exists as well. So that's part of the new design that's happening in Burbank Airport.
I did one of those in Istanbul. That was ridiculous, having to carry your luggage up through the gateway, up to the tarmac, up to the plane. That was crazy.
Well, yeah, as you know, many of us who travel to the Caribbean, as well as Hawaii, you get used to it after a while, but I prefer the jetway.
Yeah, I as well. Quick question. I think Sarah had a question. Well, a couple questions. I think mine is tied into that. So let's say we took Laura and she wanted to sell her cookies in the airport, but not as her own concession, but she wanted to be a sub of a Prime at Hudson. what are the criteria of that? And I think Sarah's question, it ties into that as well, is does AMAC help suppliers how to negotiate the contracts? Do they, or that webinar, does it give you a layout of what the criteria is? I would assume you have to do your inventory has to be on a large scale if you're going to satisfy the traffic that comes through the airport. What does all of that look like, and what does that investment look like?
Yeah. So depending on the product, but I would say go online. Each prime concessionaire will have their own criteria of what they're looking for. But also keep in mind, as you mentioned, you have to be scalable. If I put your cookies in an airport and I call for an order, and I need 100,000 packets or $100,000 of your units shipped to the various locations, you have to make sure you're prepared and ready to go to fulfill that obligation. My assumption is that the primes are really going to make sure before they sign you up that you are already in that space, or you already have your operation to that level that can accommodate. If it's wines, if it's champagnes, etc., you really need to be at that level. And that means going to PCR, to Colette, to say, hey, help me expand my business. I have a new contract and I have a invoice for 100,000 units. You need to make sure your staffing levels there. You need to make sure your distribution can accommodate that. And if you need to go to PCR to get assistance from Colette to expand, and because you now have that big order, then that's how, again, you'll continue to grow. And I tell everybody, start small. Start small. Start to what you can manage, but don't turn down opportunity. I just talked to a gentleman the other day. His brother-in-law is creating these juices, and Equinox love his juice to the point that they wanted to take him from 1 or 2 locations to a national level, and he turned them down. And partly because maybe he doesn't know Colette exists, right? And so getting the word out that there are opportunities for you to expand and grow and to walk away from your 9 to 5 to go in to be an entrepreneur, those resources are available. And individuals like yourself that are on this call can help small businesses grow. When you have an invoice in your hand and somebody's willing to give you that opportunity, yes, he started small. Now it's time for him to expand. You got to open your mind. You got to think large. You got to really go after the resources that are available to us and get the assistance and hopefully continue to be successful from that point on.
All right, Colette, that's on you, my friend. So you tell us when you got the program and the webinar, and we'll send our folks over to you. How about that? Because I do have several clients that would fit in that category, but they really truly would have to go through a webinar or through and I don't think any of our other organizations are teaching our businesses how to scale up to that level. And so, Colette, that might have to be you.
And that's why I asked that question to Michael, because it's highly complex working with the airports. And so, somebody said, do you have to be open earlier or somewhere else before you go? I think it's helpful just because you need to be able to transfer some knowledge. You need to transfer some of those skills and experiences into the airport situation. I think starting from scratch is tough in that environment.
It is tough. That's a very good point. We are required to open up an hour before the first flight and an hour after the last flight. So it is not a 9 to 5. I'm gonna operate and shut my door. And then you have those holiday periods sometime where it's 4 a.m. and people are still stuck at the airport, and you have to operate accordingly. Now, getting back to something Crystal mentioned, I think each one of the primes will educate and inform individuals what is required and what does success look like for them for small suppliers. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And they will probably have their own webinar of what they're looking for. For AMAC, we're starting a committee. There's a group that they just started this last year, and really how to create a chart on what does success look like at an airport for suppliers, and how do we help them get there. So I will have more information to make sure we streamline and make sure that we're able to educate and keep it simple, and also tap into the resources and refer to those PCRs of the world or the Lindustries, et cetera, or BBA, to get that assistance to make sure that there's clarity. And then I'm also available and could be reachable if anyone has questions or any thoughts when it comes to assistance and guidance in navigating through this complex. And so Colette's right, it's not easy, but once you're in, it could benefit you on multiple levels.
Awesome.
Michael, this is Robin.
Go ahead, Robin.
I'm just so proud of you. I've watched your walk, and what I love about you is that you have no druthers about sharing information. And I think that that's the purpose of the community briefing. I just wanted to jump in here so much earlier because it's okay to be the tier 13 supplier. You don't have to actually be in the airport. You can be supplying somebody who has a contract with the airport. But I think what the key things that you've said is, one, you have to do your due diligence and you have to understand what it is you're trying to bite. And you have to take baby bites in order to swallow that. Secondly, you have to have a relationship with an SBDC. You have to, as any business owner that does not have a relationship with an SBDC, with a BBA, with an organization like Community Briefing, you're out there operating on your own with a wish list versus having a clear understanding. I used to do a workshop called What You Don't Know About Procurement. Because being in the procurement space, understanding the supply chain, understanding these certifications. Yes, there are some certifications that are required. When you say small business, SBA, you're talking $10 million. So when we're talking, so there's so much education here. You've provided so much exceptional insight. But what we have to do is to go back and digest that stuff and spend the time being coached by a Joseph, by a PCR, by a Crystal, by a Greg, by a Robin, being coached by the BBA, so that, because one misstep by one individual messes it up for everybody.
Absolutely.
And my final comment, I need an off the line conversation with you, because I have a historical restaurant that's in the airports on the East Coast looking to come west.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Thank you, Robin. I appreciate your support.
Say hey to your sweetie for me.
Yes, I will.
So, Michael, you are welcome back anytime, because this was just exceptional. And man, don't ever tell anybody you're not a speaker, dude. You just laid out all kinds of don't ever tell nobody that. I didn't think so anyway. Anytime we work in this, you work in a space of expertise, you have so much to share. That is the purpose of the community briefing, because those are people that would love, maybe that's the back of their mind goal, and thinking that it's just not attainable until someone like yourself come in and say, yeah, it is. Let me give you some options to make that happen. Go over to AMAC, become a member so that you can get totally immersed in it. We didn't know this. I didn't know this. I think I'm connected to everything, but I don't know everything. So I learned a lot myself. Thank you so much for being here. Please come back to visit us at any given point in time. I think we all learned so much. from that, I have a number of people that I'm going to share this with. I don't know if you guys know Malik Books. Malik was in Baldwin Hills Plaza. He's over at the Westfield Mall, and I was over there during the holiday season, and they just got the Culver Century City Mall came to him and said, "We're going to put you in our mall." So we too want to go support him, but his place in Fox Hills is amazing. So let's support him and let's support him there. And I think he would probably be perfect for there. There's another shop that I ran into, Black owned, that was in Howard Hughes Mall, where the movie theater is. I was going to the movies and stopped coming out of the parking lot. There were some Black art galleries there, and I'm like, what the heck is happening up in this mall? And I went in and met the owner, and some of you may know her, Barbara Mitchell. She has this amazing shop called The Luxe Gift. Oh my God, didn't know she existed. She has rental space downstairs, over 2,000 square feet. This is why we have to go out and support. I'm speaking recycling Black dollars right now, guys. This is why we have to go out and support our businesses and take this type of information to them so that they can, that we can help keep them so they can grow their businesses, so they can be scalable to go in. There's another one, Cultural Corners, on the corner of Overhill and Slauson. She needs your help. She needs folks in there. She's got some beautiful Afrocentric gifts in there. So imports, I think it's cultural imports. So there are just tons of Black owned businesses that we have to make a commitment to support, so that we can help them grow their businesses. No,
and Crystal, you mentioned URW Westfield.
Yes.
And let me just say, they operate half the terminals at LAX.
Oh, really? Okay.
All right. And so they're truly about a level of involvement from our community and opportunities at the airport as well as shopping malls. So please explore that opportunity as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm going to make it my business. RBD is about that. And also for everyone, our resource guide, we're in production for 2024. So if you guys are interested, I will, on our next, it's actually at the bottom of the email that I sent out. But Jackie's taking orders and taking information to get your ad in the resource guide. We also are on, we have an app, so it'll both be digitally and in print. But we can't support if we don't support our own communities, no one else is going to support it. And it's so very important here on out that we do take care of ourselves. Okay. Vote. I don't even know what else to say to you guys, because if y'all watching the news, we got presidents of Harvard being kicked out. Black women seem to be on the chopping block. Black folks seem to be on the chopping block. Guys, we got to support ourselves. It is so very important. And that is it. Next week we have Chanel Gullover. What was where is she from? And let me go back up here, because that's what Stephen, she's with the Los Angeles Chamber of Commerce. So she's going to be our guest next week. Go tell as many people as you can. Are you guys enjoying the community briefing?
Yes.
For sure.
All right. Can we grow this number from 17 to 45 to 50 to 60 to whatever? And then to go over to our YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button and that like button. We'd like to be able to monetize that, but we're a long way away. We need 1,000 subscribers and we need 4,000 views. So I know y'all got that many people. I got that many people on my Facebook.
Tell a friend. Tell an enemy.
Yeah, tell an enemy.
So the other thing we want to make sure that we mention that we're planning this voting symposium February 4th that's going to be off-site. And leading up to that, we're going to have some other speakers talking about the voter process. So we need to grow this audience so folks are prepared.
Yes. So Yeah, so share. Michael, I don't know what else to say, man. Just please come back. We're just so thankful for you being in the space you're in. And I know with all of these, with the football, with the Super Bowl, with the airport getting ready, with the people mover, we're just going to be in a better place here in Los Angeles, and our people do need to be involved. So I don't know how we get that information out or how we educate, but if we can help, we're here to help. That's all of us that are business coaches here, and it's Joseph, myself. We would love to be able to help wherever we can, wherever we fit in, we can. And Greg, he's financial literacy, and I actually teach people how to read financial statements and how to make sure their financial structure is in place. I do work with Urban League, with Vermont Slauson, with GLAC, with New Women's Business Center. That's what I do in the community as a business coach. I work with all those organizations, making sure that our businesses are business ready. My business partner, Gilbert Buchanan, I don't know if you know him. He's all on the procurement supplier side and making sure people are ready to do certification and get their certification. Yeah, Greg, back to you.
Okay, well, you can see the blessings and the spirit are with Michael. He's got the glow going on there.
No halo, though. No halo.
It's like a heavenly, well, we don't see horns either, so that's a good thing. No pitchfork. So you're doing good. All right. So, Michael, again, thank you so much for coming on board. I know initially we talked, he had some trepidations about, I don't know, but yeah, you did fantastic. You started
me. Yeah, this is my first time doing something of this nature. So.
Couldn't tell. You seem like an old pro. You started us off with the year, so we thank you again. Do come back and join us. You had a few folks that joined you here. I see Kathy and Leo. Some of our regulars are here, so come back, tell a friend, and we've got some great speakers and programs.
Excuse me, how do we reach Michael? I put it in the chat a couple times. How do we reach Michael?
Here's my phone number.
777-9311.
Let's see if that works.
It goes out on Facebook. Maybe you want to put it in the chat. I don't know.
Yeah, put it in the chat. You don't want to broadcast that out.
Okay. Yeah. Very good.
Yeah, put it in the chat, guys, and then you guys can go in and clip the chat. And
save the chat at the bottom, the three little dots at the bottom there. Save the chat, but don't blast your phone number out there on the streaming.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, so Michael, if you have some updates, please let us know. We have a couple of roving correspondents. Colette is one of them. Dr. Mays is another one. So if you got something that's coming up and you feel we need to know about it, just pop on in. You don't even have to have an invitation. Just pop on in.
Let me say, I appreciate this opportunity. This is exactly what I needed as my role continues to expand. Understanding, Crystal, what you're doing, as well as Greg and others, and people who oftentimes come to me and they're looking for resources. They're looking for somebody to help them get to that next level. Now I can always come back to you guys to say, here's somebody who can assist you in understanding your financials. Here's somebody who can understand on operating and putting together a business plan. So what you're doing, you're right. The word needs to get out that this forum exists and that you are there to assist, as I'm here to assist others. I'm not an expert in everything. I'm not an expert in anything, but what I am is a connector. And so I would do my best to use you in this organization, this platform for others as they continue to expand and grow and try to get to that next level.
And
all of us to be successful.
And a connection to some sponsors as well.
Michael, I've invited Amber to come on last year, and she had some family challenges that she was dealing with. But I think both Amber and Martha are my sweeties, and I've invited them to come on to talk about what they do and how they got there. Part of this is helping people understand that when you're trying to get somewhere, you're not going to get anywhere but by yourself. And
That's exactly right. Yeah.
the more sharing we can do and the more folks can see what they can be, we just want to thank you for doing that.
So my goal, if I would love to have Amber and Martha,
Yes.
the three
I've
of
invited
us,
them. I've invited them. So
on one call. So that would be ideal. As I reached out to them after I found out about today, and again, it's still holiday season. So
yeah.
Okay, and then when we talk about our next symposium, I think that would be an excellent
Yeah.
symposium. What about you guys think? Sarah, Greg, Stephen?
I was just sending a Sarah a note that this airport opportunities would be perfect, especially Michael mentioned that, he's working on a region. So we're talking San Diego, Long Beach, Burbank,
Orange County. Mm-hmm.
Orange County, we have in Ontario, we have these airports in and around, and our people are all over the place. So this would be great. That would be great.
No doubt, Michael. I'm being in touch. So
thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, that's foregone a conclusion.
Yeah.
So I'll be talking with you soon.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. We do the symposium. They're breakouts from our regular, but we broadcast, they're hybrid. So we do an in-person and educational, informational symposium in addition to our weekly show. So, and it's a collaborative effort. And so we're going to end today. We want to thank you so much, Michael. So again, this works. Innovation, collaboration, inspiring, voting, everything that it takes to support us and move us to that next level. Let that be our model for this year. Go out, tell everyone I think I posted this the other day. Our struggles are real, guys, and nobody's coming to uplift us. We have to uplift ourselves. We have to become much more proactive. We can't sit by. We are not under the radar. If you seem to think we are, we're not. We are a target. So let's do what we need to do to uplift our communities. Let us get off the bottom of the charts. Let us aim for at least 3/4 or middle. I'll take middle, but let us get out from the bottom of the rankings. That's what I say. And we can duplicate this energy across the country and around the world for people of all African diaspora. We can definitely make a change. So I want to thank you guys for joining us today. Greg,
I'm going to stop the recording.
Okay. I want to thank you guys for being here. Please go out and tell everyone. And we'll see you guys back next week. And thank you for allowing us to go over. We appreciate you. All right. And we're going to